Good afternoon, parents. Make sure I got my volume up right. My name is Mr. Alvavera. I'm the principal here at Allen High School. Buenas tardes, padres. Mi nombre es Mr. Alvavera. Soy el director aquí de la escuela Elsie Allen. Un placer estar aquí con ustedes. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Panelists, can you guys mute for me real quick? I'd greatly appreciate it. Me gustaría dar la información a los padres que necesitan traducción. Si miran abajo de la pantalla, está traducción en el globo. Por favor, pueden poner ahí para español. Y Mayra va a traducir para ustedes en español. Let our Spanish-speaking parents know that they can go down to the bottom of where it says interpretation for our Spanish-speaking parents as we get started for our 2020 back to school night. Mientras que comenzamos en el 2020 regreso a la escuela. All right. Great. Now, I'm going to share my screen with our parents here. And before we get started, I'd like to give actually, let me stop sharing. I'd like to give the opportunity for our staff to introduce themselves. I already told you Myra is here with us today, but I'd like to give the opportunity for other staff to introduce themselves. So staff, if you can introduce yourself.
Good evening, I'm Andy Lieberman. I'm the vice principal here at Elsie Allen High School. Bienvenidos a todos. Soy el señor Lieberman, soy el vice principal aquí at Elsie Allen.
Ms. Crank?
Oh, hello, my apologies. My name is Sarah Crank. I'm the assistant principal at Elsie Allen High School. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight.
And I'm Casey Thornhill, the other assistant principal here at Elsie Allen High School. Me llamo Casey Thornhill. Yo soy un subdirector de Elsie Allen High School.
Thank you, Mr. Thornhill. Thank you, Ms. Crank and Mr. Lieberman. At this point in time, I am going to share my screen with all of you and give you a little bit of information. We will be sharing with you some things on the chat. So some of that sharing will be, oops, excuse me, let me go back here. Will be information like start off with our sign-in sheet. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, while I get this going here. Oh, thank you, Ms. Crank. So Ms. Crank has shared with you our sign-in sheet. So if you can please go to that link and sign in with your name, your student's name. And I think it also asks for your email address. I'd greatly appreciate it as we get started with this presentation. All right. So real quick, as we just introduced ourselves, here is our information. You will be able to have that information. Please contact us at your disposal. We're here for you. And please be aware that this is not a question and answer format. We're going to give you this presentation. But if you have any questions, there is our information. You can email us. You can contact us by phone as well. I think for most of us, email is quicker response just because we have our phones with us. So please utilize those email addresses if you have any questions. Here are our counselors and their information, and also obviously your students' counselors, Mr. Rodriguez, Ms. Chamberlain, and Mr. Basham Mintz. Their information is there at the bottom, as well as their email. Also, Yosan Suweldi, who is our college and career counselor. There's her information. And so is Mr. Sal Barrera, who works with our homeless, our foster youth, and our EL students. All right. Here's the information for Maida Sosa, who is doing our translation in our Spanish-speaking, for our Spanish-speaking parents, as well as Lisbeth Moreno. Their information. Our family engagement facilitators are an important part of our school community. Both Myra and Lisbeth are trained members of our staff that help with connecting students and parents to our school. They not only assist in facilitating workshops, but also tasked with reaching out to parents with the aim of increasing parent involvement and raising awareness in school, family education. They also help with remote learning connections. So for those families that need some help, they are there for you. And they're a community resource as well as supporting our student engagement. Mr. Lieberman, you want to talk a little bit about the schedule?
So this is our bell schedule for the year. You can see that we have school on Monday, Tuesday period, all 4 of those days, and that's a shorter period for 40 minutes. So 0 period starts all 4 of those days at 7:40 to 8:20. And then just like we used to have, 1 is on Monday and Thursday. Period 3 also on Monday and Thursday, and period 5. And you can see the same hours there. They're all 1 hour and 20 minutes long. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays during that same time, we have periods 2, 4, 6. Kids are basically free to have lunch, and basically between 1:35 to 3:30, that's open time. So some of the teachers have times for their students to check in with them. Also between 2:10, 3:30, and some of the students, if they want to talk to their counselors or talk to Myra or get some help with something, that's that afternoon session. So that's time for the students to get extra help. On Wednesdays, we do take attendance. There's not a set period, but the students are expected to be checking in on their Google Classrooms on Wednesday, checking what work they have to do. And they can also reach out to their teachers if they have some concerns and don't understand anything. So just like when we're usually at school, they are expected to check in on the Zooms. The Zooms aren't usually that full 1 hour and 20 minutes. They're usually about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the teacher. But it's not just coming to school. They need to be paying attention. They need to take notes, and they need to make sure that they're getting all their work in the Google Classrooms and getting that turned in. So that's our schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Lieberman. And if you have any questions regarding the schedule, please contact your student's teacher. They can also help you as well. All right. Now we're going to talk a little bit about attendance and punctuality, and I'll hand it over to Ms. Crank.
So, hello everyone. As we talk about attendance, as we know that we have to document attendance credit for our students, and this happens during distance learning just like it does when we're attending school as usual, right? And this helps us to get the financial funds that we need with our average daily attendance, and that's based on every time your student goes to their meetings or turns in work, and I'll go over a little more of the details of that. Okay, next slide, Mr. Albavera. So sometimes the question is, what's different about distance learning as opposed to when we are actually in session? And honestly, it's not different. You are still required to show up for those Zoom meetings, your child is. And so we also still want the parents to call the attendance office if your child is unable to Zoom. So just as you would call us if your child was ill, right, and couldn't attend class, you would do the same thing for a Zoom meeting. We have our phone numbers here. Oh, I apologize. We have our phone numbers here so that you can contact us. Those numbers right there, and the extensions are in English and Spanish as well. We also send out a lot of information via Parent Square. Mr. Albavera will speak to that a bit more later, but Parent Square is very important. Now, please. Okay. And so as we talk about what is attendance, there's really 2 ways to think about it. The first way is that live interaction, and that's what your student is getting when they're on a Zoom meeting with their teacher. And they're also interacting with their peers. This is very important for learning, to interact with their peers while they're learning the information. Second, it's that completion of assignments, if they turn in something, okay? So these are 2 different ways your child can be counted as attending. So even if they don't Zoom, make sure they turn in the homework, and then we can still count them as attending. As I noted before, a student cannot just clear their absence with an email. We still need the parent on file to let us know why their child was absent in order to excuse it. We also expect our students to show up by Zoom, to show up and to watch and to participate and to interact with their teacher. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit today about meals. So for some of our students that are missing that cafeteria food, we actually have really good meals now that we're giving out on Mondays, and it's enough food for the whole week. We still need you to fill out a meal application. Even if you're not sure if you're going to be getting that meal, we really need you to fill it out. This is how we get funding for our school for Title I funds. So it's very important that we fill out that meal application. So on Monday, these are the pickup days for food. And they give you enough to last the whole week. And then you come back the following Monday and you can get more. So any of these times that you see on your screen right now, those are times to come and get food at Elsie Allen High School. Here is a video we're going to show you how to fill out your application online. It's actually very simple. Here's our director of CNS to show you.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing an online application with family.titankk12.com. That's family.titankk12.com. Please pause the video and go to this location now. We're going to go down to apply for meals today, and we're going to choose the language in which we prefer. So I prefer English. I'm going to apply for meals today. First, I'm going to enter in our school district as Santa Rosa City Schools. I'm going to select the drop-down. I'm going to fill in my address. I'm going to fill in my daytime number, email, and if anyone in your house is in any one of these programs, please select them now. In my household, no one is in these programs, so we're going to continue without selecting them. This is a letter to households. You're welcome to ignore it. Next, we're going to add in each enrolled student. So I'm going to write in example student. So example student is not real, but that's okay. I don't know my student's ID number, and I know that my student is in kindergarten. You do not have to fill out the entire thing. If your student qualifies in one of these programs, foster youth, homeless, migrant, or runaway, please select them now. We're going to repeat this process for every enrolled student at Santa Rosa City Schools. If your student has an income, say some kind of support from the state, please enter that information in here. In this situation, example student does not have a student income, so we're just going to skip it. The next step, we're going to write in all the household members. So we're going to say there are 3. There is example student, example adult. Okay, so example adult does earn a wage of $400 twice a month. And I'm going to save that. Next up, I'm going to include all the children in the household that are not enrolled in school. So I'm going to look up example and does not have a wage, so we're just going to leave that blank. And then go next. We're going to review to make sure this information is correct. And next. So demographic information is optional, but also very welcome. We're going to sign it. So when we sign, the name on here has to match up exactly with one of the household members. So please ensure that you are copying a household member absolutely exactly the same. So the last thing we need is the last 4 digits of your social security number, or we can mark this box for no social security number. For us in processing, it's the exact same thing. I'm going to select no SSN. I'm going to submit, and we would ask that you write down your confirmation number, and you should hear from us within about a week or 2. We send out emails first, and then a letter shortly thereafter. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for that information, Ms. Crank. I'd like to now pass it over to Mr. Thornhill, talk a little bit about sports and what's going on with our sporting programs.
Yes, yes, it's Casey Thornhill. And I do look over our sports here at Elsie High School. And if you're like me, you're itching to get the kids back on the field. One of the things I miss very most is watching our kids playing. So here's just some information for you. As soon as school reopens, all sports will be offered, with all fall sports moving to winter sports moving to spring sports, and all spring sports will still be offered in the spring. So one example would be football, which is normally a fall sport, is now being moved to a winter sport. And winter sport, like basketball, is now being moved to a spring sport. So as of now, we're still offering all our sports to the students this year. The earliest practice may begin is December 14th. And CIF, this is just one of the return to physical activity training guidelines. It's intended to provide guidance for CIF member schools to consider with their stakeholders in designing return to activity protocols in accordance with state and county restrictions. So we're working closely with all North Coast section to provide the students with a safe return to school as it relates to sports. Go ahead, Gabe. So this is the physical examination waiver. As we know, that may be hard to get in to see a doctor now. And in order to address the impact of COVID virus and school closures, we have had on students, and in recognition that families may experience delays in obtaining appointments for their student for participation physical examination, governing boards of school districts and private schools may elect to provide a one-time temporary waiver. This waiver will allow the student athlete to participate in athletics for a maximum of 30 calendar days. That's important for you to know, that you basically have 30 days from when your student athlete starts practice to get in and get a physical, whereas before it was you had to have it before you even got onto the field. So that's one accommodation that we're going to be able to make. Go ahead. Financial hardship waiver. So due to the impact of COVID-19 virus and the resulting financial impact on families, a waiver of bylaw 207 may be granted for a student who transfers to a new school during the first semester of the 2021 school year when there's a demonstrated and verifiable hardship condition due to financial difficulties. And for more information, you can visit this website, cifncs.org. It's going to have much more detail about what I just talked about and the impacts of COVID and some of the bylaws that they've amended for this school year. One being students are going to be allowed to play 2 sports in one season. So for example, basketball is now a spring sport this year. The student athlete would be able to play spring basketball and girls softball if they so chose. So good website and good information there. And don't hesitate to email me too or call me if you have any additional questions.
Thank you, Mr. Thornhill. Now, Mr. Lieberman will talk a little bit about our Elac meetings.
So ELAC is a committee that we have here. Well, all schools have an ELAC, and there's also a DLAC, which is the district level. We're going to have a meeting on September 30th at 6 p.m. And then that's just kind of more of an introduction. And then we meet every month, the second Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. The meetings are usually an hour and a half long. Generally, they're run by Myra Sosa and myself. And what the Elac Committee is, it's an advisory committee. It's a English Language Learners Advisory Council. And what we're doing there is it's an opportunity for parents whose students are English language learners to come and talk about what the needs of the school are and to advise to the Student Site Council on how some of our funding is used to help support our English language learner students. So we do a lot of educating for the parents and explain to them where we use the money, what things we buy, but we also ask the parents to get involved in coming up with different ideas and things that they think that would help help our students out and our school out. So we really need parents' involvement in that. It's an opportunity to share your voice and make a difference for our kids and for our school. And hoping to see a lot of you on the 30th and a lot more of you over the next several months. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lieberman. Most of you have received my information that I've sent out, which is through Parent Square. I've got a picture up here. It's the new platform that we're utilizing for communication. I've used it. Some of you have sent me messages back, very similar to Facebook. A lot of our teachers are using it as well. This is the best way to communicate with our staff. Students have access to this as well. So if you could just download the app, or some of you are getting it via text, please utilize that to communicate with us as administrators. Obviously also with our teachers who are utilizing it. You should be getting some quick responses back. It's really helped out to kind of close the bridge between parents and school, and parents and administrators, as well as teachers. So any questions that you might have regarding one of your students' classes, please feel free to use the Parent Square app. Obviously, you're going to get more information on how to connect with the teachers in the next couple slides, but this is a good app to utilize to connect with us as well. All right, at this point in time, I am going to share a presentation on Title I by Dr. Perez. And really kind of sharing the video on how the funds get spent at our site. We're considered a Title I school, like Ms. Crank already talked about a little bit. And because we're a Title I school, we get federal funds to help to meet the educational needs of our students in our site. This video will share a little bit about what is Title I, the goals, the parent involvement, and parent-school compact. The video is bilingual, and it's presented by Dr. Perez, as I said, so it's going to be talking in both in English and Spanish. So it's about a little 9-minute video. And then after the video, we'll go into a little bit more information on how to connect to your students' classes.
Hola, soy la doctora Pérez y me da mucho gusto estar presentándoles hoy la Junta Anual de Padres de Título 1. Hi, my name is Dr. Perez, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this year's annual Title I Parent Meeting. Esta presentación se presentará en inglés y en español. This presentation will be done in English and in Spanish. We're going to review what is Title I, what are the goals of Title I, how are Title I funds allocated to the school. We're going to talk about the achievement results, expectations, what services Title I provides, and the parent involvement policy, as well as the parent-school compact. Hoy vamos a repasar qué es Título I, cuáles son los objetivos de Título I, cómo se asignan los fondos de Título I a la escuela, los resultados del rendimiento que se esperan al usar estos fondos, qué servicios se ofrecen con el Título I, cuáles son reglamentos de participación de los padres y qué es el acuerdo entre los padres y la escuela. The goals of Title I are to increase academic achievement. So this requires that the schools are accountable for the use of these funds and their academic outcomes. It requires that parents are provided assistance in understanding how well their school and child is performing. El objetivo de Título I es mejorar el rendimiento académico y requiere que las escuelas se hagan responsables por los resultados académicos de los estudiantes. Requiere que los padres reciban ayuda para entender el desempeño de su escuela y su hijo. Title I funds are federal funds. They're allocated on the basis of the number of students that are eligible for free and reduced price meals. Funds must be supplemental and not supplant district funds. This means that Title I funds must be in addition to the general district funds. It requires academic interventions for all eligible students and requires parent input and training. Los fondos del Título I son fondos federales. Se asignan de acuerdo al número de estudiantes que califican para recibir alimentación gratis o precio reducido. Los fondos deben complementar los fondos del distrito y no reemplazarlos. Eso significa que los fondos de título 1 deben ser en adición a los fondos del distrito. Requiere que se realicen intervenciones académicas para todos los estudiantes que califiquen. Requiere que los padres opinen y reciban capacitación. The School Site Council provides input on the use of the funds. Parents, staff, and in 7th through 12th grade, students are elected to serve on School Site Council. The School Plan for Student Achievement, or known as the SPSA, is the document that details the use of Title I with School Site Council approval. El Consejo del Sitio Escolar proporciona información sobre el uso de los fondos. Los padres y personal y en grados 7 a 12, estudiantes, son elegidos para servir en el Consejo del Sitio Escolar. El Plan Escolar para el Logro Estudiantil, o SPSA, por sus siglas en inglés, es el documento que detalla el uso de Título 1 con la aprobación del Consejo del Sitio Escolar o School Site Council. Parent rights. The annual Title I meeting with input to Title I plan. That is what we're doing today. Opportunities to meet regularly as Title I parents, to be informed of your child's progress and expectations. And this is done through annual parent-teacher conference to discuss your child's progress with Title I interventions, as well as report cards, an annual review of assessment data, and of course, any newsletters that your school distributes. Derechos de ustedes como padres. La reunión anual de Título 1 con contribución al plan de Título 1. Es eso lo que estamos haciendo hoy en esta junta. También su derecho es tener una oportunidad para reunirse de forma regular como padres de Título 1 si lo desean. También estar informados sobre el progreso de sus niños y de las expectativas que tienen en ellos a través de conferencias anuales entre padres y maestros para discutir el progreso del niño con intervenciones de Título 1, las boletas de calificaciones, la revisión anual de los datos de las evaluaciones y también boletines que su escuela proporcione. Other parent rights include notification of English learner parents. This is required if the English learner student at the child's school are not meeting state targets for proficiency in ELD and content standards. Also, to provide input for site parent involvement policy and the parent-school compact. That will be taking place following this meeting or at a future meeting. Parent training and resources funded by Title I allocations for parent involvement. And this can occur in a variety of ways at your school site. As well as, you as a parent have the right to request and obtain your school's accountability report card. Sus derechos como padre incluyen: se requiere que los padres de los aprendices de inglés sean notificados si los aprendices de inglés de la escuela no cumplen con los objetivos estatales de competencia en desarrollo del idioma inglés y los estándares académicos. También dar la opinión sobre la póliza de participación de los padres y el acuerdo entre los padres y la escuela. Eso puede que se lleve a cabo después de esta presentación o en otra junta más adelante. También las capacitaciones para los padres y los recursos financiados por asignaciones de Título 1 para la participación de los padres. Es decir, se le da entrenamiento a ustedes como padres en temas que ustedes deseen y pidan. También informe anual de responsabilidad escolar, la cual la pueden pedir y obtener en su escuela. What is the site parent involvement policy? Every school in collaboration with parents must prepare a site-level parent involvement policy for distribution that includes the dates, times, and topics that parents wish to meet and discuss, learn more about. The way the site-level parent involvement policy is distributed. So it could be that parent involvement policy meeting takes place at the conclusion of this presentation or at a future meeting. La póliza de la escuela sobre la participación de los padres. Todas las escuelas en colaboración con los padres deben preparar una póliza de participación que será distribuida y que debe incluir la fecha y horas en que los padres quieren reunirse y los temas que quieren discutir o conocer mejor. También la forma en que la póliza de participación de los padres de la escuela sea distribuida. Y puede que esa junta se lleve a cabo al terminar esta presentación, donde se les pide a ustedes que den sus opiniones y colaboración en esta póliza, o puede que ocurra en una junta más adelante. The School Parent Compact. This is developed in collaboration with parents, teachers, and students. It can be updated periodically, and it's also widely distributed with the site-level parent policy. Acuerdo entre los padres y la escuela. Desarrollado con los padres, maestros y estudiantes, actualizado de forma periódica, y la distribución amplia junto con la póliza de los padres de la escuela. Again, it could be that at the conclusion of this presentation, your site administrator will ask for you to give your input into the School Parent Compact. Y de nuevo les repito que a concluir esta presentación, puede que el administrador de su escuela le pida que dé su retroalimentación hacia el acuerdo entre padres y la escuela. Specific school site information. Your school site administrator will now share the needs of your school and how Title I is being used to meet those needs. We ask that you provide input if you wish. Your school administrator will detail the manner in which input can be received at this time. Información específica de su escuela. El administrador de la escuela ahora compartirá las necesidades de su escuela y cómo se está utilizando el título 1 para satisfacer esas necesidades. Se les pide que proporcionen información acerca de este tema si lo desean. Si tienen algunas preguntas, también se las pueden hacer al administrador de su escuela. If you have any questions, please ask your school site administrator. I thank you for participating in your annual Title I parent meeting. And please know that you can reach out to the district office if you have any questions or concerns about Title I, the Parent Compact, the Parent Policy. Thank you again. De nuevo, les agradezco que hayan participado en esta presentación y si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor, comuníquense con el administrador de su escuela o se pueden comunicar también con el distrito con cualquier pregunta acerca del título 1, la póliza de participación de padres. Thank you. This concludes this presentation. Muchas gracias. Esto concluye esta presentación.
So that presentation, again, thank Dr. Perez. We will be sending out a survey to all of our families so we can participate and if also give you the opportunity to ask questions on how we can improve here at our site and also give that information out to you of the needs of the school. I did send out a message to Parent Square not too long ago regarding school site council who would want to participate. I got a few folks on board and that's the kind of information that we'll be sending out through Parent Square. So please be aware that some more information will be coming through Parent Square and please utilize it to give us feedback, all right? So now to the giving you the information on how to utilize our back to school night. Ms. Crank maybe can do a cut and paste of the school website on our chat so our parents can have access to that. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen just so that I can kind of give you a little bit more of a, stop sharing that screen. I'm gonna get another screen to share. Give me a few minutes here while I get out of this one. So we can show you what is it that we're doing and how it's gonna be a little bit different this year. So give me a quick second. Get this on. All right. I hope everybody's having a good night tonight. All right. No, that wasn't the one I was looking for. Give me a second. This is what new technology does for us. And of course, I am learning it as I go. Let me see. Oh, this is it. Okay. So this is our webpage. As you can see, Santa Rosa, California, schoolloop.com, LCL High School. And the way you're going to go about it is you're going to click onto this picture here. It says back to school night. And once you click, you're going to have all our different departments with the teachers. Science, English, Ag, Math, World Language. All of our teachers have created some sort of a website or a YouTube video or a presentation to give you the information of that class. So I'm just going to take, let's take just, who's the lucky person? Let's take Miss Casarati, who is one of our PE teachers. This is her webpage. Her information, there's her contact information, email address, school phone. And here she has her Back to School Night 2020. And this is her video for you, the parents. So if your child is in Miss Casarati's class, this is the information you want to listen to. And I'll just put it on just so you can see what she did.
Good evening. This is Physical Education with Miss Casarati. Welcome to Back to School Night 2020, Distance Learning. All right.
So that's how it will go for each of our teachers. And so please feel free to get to the webpage. I think Ms. Crank has given us the information there, which is great. And I would suggest to sit down with your student, talk to your student, ask your student, who are your teachers, and take the time to sit down with him or her and go through each class. That way you know what the requirements of each class is for your student. So that's highly recommended. And again, please utilize the information of connecting with the teacher. A lot of times I get questions, as well as our administrative team, you know, Mr. Albavera, my son or daughter is not doing well in this class. What should I do? Again, that's the first person you should talk to, which is the teacher. And if for whatever the reason the teacher is not answering your question, please feel free to contact us. That's really kind of how we make sure that your voice is heard. And that gives the teachers the opportunity to answer any question that you might have as it relates to attendance, grades, participation, or even, you know, some great things that might be happening with your student in their class. So again, please feel free to utilize that link to get to our school website. All right. Again, my apologies. We're not doing this as a question and answer forum, but please feel free to contact us via the emails that we sent you. I will be posting this video on our website so you can have access to it if you want to go back and either get our information through there, or you can also get our information through the website as well. Again, counselors, administrators, teachers, family engagement, we're all here to support you and your families and your students. So any concerns, please make sure that you contact us. All right, let me just go the last thing here. Just ending it tonight, we want to thank you for being here, for taking the time. It's been about 40 minutes, which I think I'm like 1 minute above what I was expecting. And I really appreciate, or we really appreciate you being here. Go ahead and go to that website, go to your students' classes. And again, we appreciate the time that you spent with us. Thank you. Have a good night. Hasta luego. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.